I'm Judy Zelina. This is the Millcreek Government Channel. The Erie County Land Bank, formed in 2018 under a special ordinance, was created to acquire, hold, and transfer interest in real property throughout Erie County for the following purposes: to deter the spread of blight, to promote redevelopment and reuse of vacant, abandoned, and tax delinquent properties, to support targeted efforts to stabilize neighborhoods, and to stimulate residential, commercial, and industrial development. The Erie County Land Bank is working in alignment with goals and priorities of local government partners and community stakeholders. Together, they work to stabilize and enhance our unique communities within Erie County. Joining us to explain the purpose of the newly created Erie County Land Bank is the Executive Director, Christy Mahaney. Christy, thank you so much for joining us on the program today.
Thank you for having me.
Well, it's a pleasure because we have heard about land banks, and I think some of us may know a little bit about it, but really looking over your website and what we're going to be talking about, there's a lot more involved than I even was aware of.
Oh, well, and a lot of people think that the land bank is just an actual bank, and it's
and
not.
It isn't.
Yeah.
So Christy, right off, what is a land bank and how did you get involved in this?
So a land bank is really a quasi-governmental agency that is, the technical term is we're tasked with dealing with blight. So blight is vacant, abandoned, deteriorated, tax delinquent, anything. It can be kind of a mix and match of those items, but it's a property that is really, as I like to say, it's one that the normal real estate market is not going to take care of on its own. So I ended up getting involved in this I was actually hired February of 2019, and before that I spent about 15 years in the residential real estate side of things. So I am very familiar, and when this opportunity came up, it really was, the best way that I can describe it is I could see that it was going to fill a niche that had been missing. So you could see that there was a gap that wasn't, there were properties that people didn't know what to do with. There were properties that they didn't make financial sense for somebody to take on, but they were still very much affecting the neighborhood and the surrounding area. So this was a great opportunity for not only the land bank, but then it was really exciting for me just because I'm kind of nerdy and I find that stuff interesting.
And these are of course properties I have seen on the news. You've had the neighbors talking about it, that they've gone to the city or to a supervisor complaining, concerned because
Yes.
It's in their neighborhood for health issues, safety issues, so forth, correct?
Yes. Yeah. It's not so much that it's just an ugly property.
Right.
It really does turn into, you can have squatters in a property, you can have animals going in and out of a property, you can have pipes that burst in a property and suddenly they're flooding and then they're rolling onto somebody else's land. I mean, there's a lot that vacant properties are more than just vacant properties.
Okay.
So yeah, you can run into some serious issues, and it's a concern if you're living next door.
I would think so. You know what? I have heard of the Erie Land Bank. Now, you are the Erie County Land Bank.
Yes.
What is the difference?
Okay, so there's two land banks in Erie County. There's the Erie County Land Bank, which is the one that I'm associated with.
Okay.
And then there's the Erie Land Bank. And the primary difference is location. You can't have two land banks in the same area. So the Erie Land Bank deals strictly with the city, within the city limits.
Oh, okay.
And then the County Land Bank, we operate from the city limits all the way out to the edge of the county.
All right. So all of the other counties other than the city of Erie are involved with the Erie County Land Bank.
So all of the other municipalities within Erie County.
Within Erie
Yeah.
County. Okay. All right. Now, who governs and operates the Erie County Land Bank?
So the day-to-day operations are currently myself and whoever I could get to help me out. And then, but the governance is actually we have a 9-member board made up of different people throughout the county. So we've got a great board. We really do. They're all really working well together.
And I was looking at the board, very diversified.
Very
they all
diversified.
bring something to the table.
Yeah, there's so many things that we run into when we're dealing with vacant abandoned properties, that having such a diversified board is really helpful, because everybody has, if somebody doesn't know, there's somebody else who probably does know the answer, or at least who to talk to.
Well, that's good. You do have some really, really great people. Ex-Supervisor Brian McGrath is on that board.
He
so
is.
I know he brings a lot of knowledge, property throughout Erie County. He
Yes.
brings a lot of knowledge, a lot of history.
Yes.
So, okay, I like to talk about this. Who or what funds the Erie County Land Bank?
So we are actually funded by gaming funds. So we receive $1 million a year in gaming funds in order to help deal with these vacant abandoned properties. Again, they're not properties, there's not a land bank out there that is self-funded, because this is not work that makes financial sense in a property by property aspect.
Okay.
But it does make financial sense for a community to tackle these properties. So yeah, that's where the majority of our funding comes from, gaming funds. Now, obviously, if we end up selling a property, if there's what's called a 550 tax recapture, which
I was going to ask about that. I've heard about it, but I'm not familiar with it, Christy.
So the 550 tax recapture is if we acquire a property and then we tackle the blight on the property, whether it is a demolition or whether it's a rehabilitation of some sort, renovation, when that property is returned to productive use, so it's back on the tax rolls, we have the ability to collect 50% of the property taxes on that property for 5 years. And what that does is it builds a little bit of a cushion, and it allows us to reinvest money back into a community. Again, there's not a land bank out there that is self-funding. So what this does is this basically provides some operating costs for us so that we can continue doing some good work.
Okay. Do you actually acquire these properties, and how do you go? What are the main ways that you do acquire properties?
Yes, we
You
actually acquire the
them.
properties. So the Erie County Land Bank is listed as the owner of record.
Okay.
We acquire the properties. We don't have, I like to say, we don't have any teeth. Like we can't go out and just acquire properties just because they're blighted. We are very friendly as far as we've got very limited ways that we can acquire them. We can outright purchase them, like if we're purchasing them off the repository list. We have done that. Our first 2 properties that we purchased were off the repository list. And then we can acquire them through donation. So we've had some donations that have actually been very, very successful. And then we can also, the one opportunity that we have that's really handy is we've got priority bid at the judicial tax sale. So if a property is going up for sale at the judicial tax sale, which this year is in November, or currently scheduled for November, we have the priority bid at that, so that we can actually go in and acquire the properties and for the minimum bid. And since we have the priority bid, they basically get removed from the tax sale.
Okay, so it becomes yours.
It becomes ours.
Since you have priority and you meet the minimum bid.
Correct.
They say, okay, the Erie County, this now then belongs to the Erie County Land Bank.
Provided that the local municipality wants us to acquire those properties.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. The municipalities, again, I want to clarify, other than the city of Erie, does every municipality throughout Erie County participate in this?
Not currently, so it's
No?
voluntary.
Really? It's voluntary?
And some of them we haven't necessarily heard no from a municipality
Okay.
yet. It's more of some of them need us more than others, or are interested in having us come in a little bit more than others. So we have some municipalities that have signed up what it's called an intergovernmental cooperation agreement. So we have some that have said, yes, we absolutely need you. We want you to do this. We're very active. Then we have some others who have said, well, we'll sign it just in case we need you, but we don't have any properties that meet that criteria right now. And then there have been others that have said, you know what, we've got our hands full with some other issues. We don't know whether we want to do this or not. Can we talk about this later, because we're busy doing other things? And absolutely.
Is it going to cost the municipality anything to participate?
It does not, which is
Okay.
actually one of the unique things about our land bank, because we do have funding through the gaming funds.
Okay.
We're not actively seeking out just the basic operating costs. We're in a really unique position as a land bank to do that. So most of the other land banks that I've been working with across the state and across the country really actually charge you to join as a member, and we don't do that.
Okay, are you allowed to purchase properties outright? Like you're driving by and you see a home that is vacant, deteriorating. Can you just find out who the owner of record is, go to the owner and make an offer? Can you do that or not?
We could, yeah, we're allowed to do that.
Okay.
Would we actually do that? That's not our primary way of acquiring the properties at this point, just because there's so many. Number one, there's so many that need to be tackled, and number two, the properties we're acquiring really don't have a whole lot of monetary value, at least in their current state. So they're typically they're properties that, if you could sell it on the open market, if you could sell it to anyone for a particular price, then you would probably go that route, because you'll get more money that way than you would if the land bank were to come in and say, hey, if you want to donate it to us, you could donate it to us, but
Donations
you're not going to make a whole lot.
Christy, I have a question. What if there's a property that's on a tax sale or blighted, it's vacant, it's been deserted, and you cannot find the owner of record? How would that work?
That's a tricky one. So
That's kind of a tricky.
It is on the tax sale, or it's not.
Or somehow, in other words, you want to acquire this property,
right,
for some reason, and one of the many reasons we talked about, but you cannot find the owner of record. I know this has happened in Millcreek sometimes, where we've looked for them to try and fix places up, and they're in some other country and we have no idea where they are. How would you go about acquiring a property like that, or can't you?
Well, we really can't. If we can't,
you just need to find the owner of record.
We need to find the owner of record. Yeah, well, it's not so. We don't. We don't have any teeth as far as we don't have any enforcement power. We can't go through and just acquire a property just because it's blighted. It needs to either be going through the tax sale, or it needs to be donated. I mean, again, could it be purchased? Again, you need the owner of record for that. So.
Okay,
it's a tricky one, though.
Yeah, that is a tricky one.
Yeah.
I just wondered how you worked that one.
It's a lot of trying to track down who the owner of record would be.
You were talking about donations. Why or how would somebody donate something, a home to you?
Our first donation that we had was in Union City Borough, and it went really, really well. So this particular owner, it was an investment property for him, so it was a 2-unit building. A tree fell on the building. So this half of a tree, this huge tree branch, fell on this building. And when the insurance adjuster came through, they totaled the building.
Okay.
So he's got nobody living in it. It's been totaled. They paid him enough to either pay off his mortgage on it or just barely pay off his mortgage, or almost. Anyway, he was looking at it going, I can't afford to tear it down. I'm just going to quit paying my taxes on it and let them take it back for back taxes. I don't know what else to do about it. And luckily, Union City Borough said, why don't you reach out to Christy at the Erie County Land Bank and see if they would acquire it as a donation. And because they have the funds available, this is what they do. They deal with these properties that you can't sell to anybody else. You don't know what to do with it. Life happens and you get in this place where you're a little bit stuck and you don't know what to do with it anymore. So that's exactly what happened. He reached out to us. We figured out how we were going to do it. He was very, very happy to donate the property. We were very, very happy to receive it. And we put it out for demolition, and now it's a vacant lot and available for purchase. So it really was a win-win all the way around.
I love to hear the different success stories. What are some of the other ones that you can tell me about?
So there was one that we actually acquired it off the judicial tax sale last year.
Okay.
It was in Albion. And this is really interesting. This really speaks more to, it was pretty straightforward demolition, as far as it was a house that had been in really rough shape. The people before it had, I believe, purchased at the judicial sale previously or one of the prior judicial sales.
Okay.
And the issue with that is you get into the properties and you don't really, they're not ones that you've gotten into, you haven't been able to inspect them ahead of time. They're really, you kind of go in blind, not knowing what you're getting into. Well, this one had serious foundation issues. So this property was in a very nice neighborhood as far as everybody, you know, it wasn't in a neighborhood full of other houses just like it was in a neighborhood where people are taking care of their property. They're very proud to live there.
Right.
So this house actually, it was really interesting because this house was affecting the neighbors around it, not in the traditional way. This house was affecting the neighbors around it in that one of the neighbors had gone to, and I don't have all of the specific numbers, but I'm going to try to track those down. One of the neighbors had purchased their house a handful of years ago, invested a lot of money into their house, went to refinance it. When they went to refinance it, they had done an appraisal on the house, and the new appraisal came in lower than the amount that they had originally purchased it for.
Oh my goodness.
And when they called up, the owner called the bank and said, how is this possible? Not only did we purchase it long enough ago that inflation should have kicked in, but also that we've invested money into this property. And they said, you have a blighted property on the same street that you're located on, and that is dragging down the value of your property. So we acquired the property. It was on our list of properties to acquire, but we acquired the property at the last year's judicial tax sale. It got taken down this summer, and again, it's a vacant lot that's available, but it makes a huge difference. You would think that how is a vacant lot going to help the neighborhood? But it's amazing when you take a property out that is dragging down the properties around it, that what a difference just having some grass there will do.
Again, win-win situation.
Again, yeah, win-win. We love
That's what
win-win
you do.
situations. Yeah, absolutely.
Christy, how would I go about reporting a vacant or blighted piece of property?
So typically, we have ongoing conversations with all of our municipalities.
Okay.
So we've got ongoing conversations with them. If there's a property that, we do have a link, if you had a property that you knew of as far as, especially if it was one of your own that you were interested in donating and you weren't sure who to talk to, we do have a link on our website at eriecountylandbank.org. Okay. We do have a link where you can give us some specifics on that. And then again, we'll be talking with the municipality about it just to say, hey, is this on your radar? Where do we go from here?
Okay, and can anybody purchase from the Erie County Land Bank?
Yes, with an asterisk. So yes,
okay.
Anybody can purchase from the Erie County Land Bank. However, you have to, there's certain qualifications that you can't be contributing to the problem that we're trying to solve. So you can't have open code violations on the property, any properties that you currently own. You can't be, you can't have back taxes owed on properties that you currently own. So yes, with an asterisk. All of our properties, if there's certain properties that are currently only available for as a side lot, as part of our side lot program. So they're only available if you have a property that is adjacent to that particular lot. Any restrictions for any of the properties would be on the application. They're really well spelled out on the application that's attached.
Okay. Any of the properties that you are selling, before the sale, are you allowed to tour the inside?
For which ones?
Like any property that you would be selling?
Oh, yes. So we have one right now.
I mean, it's not like, okay, this one's for sale, and I look at it from like an auction, or not even an auction, look at it from the outside. Yeah. I can actually tour, take a tour of the home and make sure it's something I want, right?
Correct. You can. So there's a couple of different things. If a property is available, if it is available as a rehab, you not only have access to our evaluation that had been done on the property by a contractor prior, because that's attached to our website as well, but you also can walk the property. There's a release that needs to be signed. These properties are not in great condition.
Okay.
So you go into it knowing they're not in great condition. But if you wanted to walk through the property ahead of time, absolutely.
Okay. All right. Have you ever donated any of these properties to charity?
We're not at that point yet. I would love to say yes in another couple of years, but we're not yet. We haven't.
Not yet, but that's something that you would like to look at down the road?
Sure.
Okay. And also, how would an interested party find out the properties that you own right now?
So if you go to our website,
Okay.
there's a View Properties tab that I believe is in a bright orange oval. Any property that we have, so any property that we own or any property that is for sale is listed on there, and it's pretty well labeled as far as whether it's for sale or whether it's just acquired or
Okay.
something along those lines.
Okay. Christy, this has been so informative and so interesting. I'm so glad that you joined us on the program. Is there anything that you wanted to tell the viewers that we hadn't touched base on or something, or do you think we pretty much covered everything?
I think we pretty much covered everything.
Okay.
I'm sure I'll think of something later, but
Well, of course. I know, a day and a half later, yes. It's like, oh, by the way. No, but if they have any questions, they can always give you a call or they can always look on your website, correct?
absolutely. Our phone number and our contact form are on there.
Christy, thank you so much for joining us. You do a great job. And I'm so glad Millcreek Township does participate.
They do, yes.
I knew that. Well, I assume that, let's put it that way.
Yes.
But I'm so glad we do. We have a great code enforcement team, and I know you work closely with them. So thank you for all that you do. You're making Erie County a little bit more sparkly.
We're trying.
Thank you, Christy.
Thank you.
Viewers, if you have any questions or if you have any properties that you think Christy may be interested in, you want to talk to the Erie County Land Bank about, please give them a call. Check out their website. Thank you for tuning into the Millcreek Government Channel. And until next time, have a wonderful day.